What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the More Than Philly Sports Network. It's great to be here with all of you today. 9 months in, the 8th of March in 2021. For those who don't know, June 8th, of course, our initial start day. We're also going to spend this week doing a little bit of a throwback segment on this day last year because quite the infamous week this was last year, as we do know that this was the week of the shutdown when the world changed as we know it. But also with that, for those who watched us on Sunday, we enjoyed it. We had a fun show talking about the All-Star game. Quite a fun game, to say the least, all things considered. Again, it's not as exciting as it usually is. Dunk competition certainly did not live up to par. But I can tell you a few things right now. I know Gavin is thrilled with the three-point competition and the winner of that, of course. And it's thrilled with the 180 turnaround no-look from Steph Curry as well. There were some fun parts to that game. The players looked like they enjoyed themselves. But before we get to all of that, Gavin, how are you doing today?
Well, Zach, first of all, I know later during the week we're going to have to sit down and break down the All-Star game. And, Zach, that dunk contest was disappointing. We're talking about rim grazers, and we're blowing kisses. Zach, we're not even blowing kisses at the rim. We're just making kissy faces at the rim, and we're winning. All right, that's a disappointment. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Zach, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, as we mentioned here on March 8th, 2021, another side note, of course, today is International Women's Day. We're celebrating all the great women out there that have made significant impacts in our communities. Of course, that ranges from sports, it ranges from politics, it ranges from anything, honestly. As we progress as a country and a world, it's great to look back on those things. So I did want to point that out before we did dive into it today. This year, groundbreaking, Sarah Fuller, of course, first female to score points in the Power Five. We're making good progress. LPGA, I honestly have a fun time watching it. I think it's great, very competitive as well. When it comes down to it, Gavin, we try to do our best to explore diversity. Coming off of Black History Month, we're now in Women's History Month. Every month, in my opinion, should be celebrating all different diversities. But, of course, we know in this month, Women's History Month, enjoying the advancements that have been brought to us thanks to women, as well as, of course, today focusing on it as it is International Women's Day. We celebrate all the women out there, again, that have made significant impacts on all of our lives, whether it be in sports or anything else, arguably. Now we have female officials in all of our sports, female athletes doing their part on and off the court of the field, wherever they're participating. And then, of course, the women that aren't in sports, the ones who are doing their thing, whether they're in science or anything along those lines, we thank you all and we appreciate everything that you all do, because without you, we would be a society that is closed-minded, a society that to be only run by a lack of diversity would not be one that I would want to live in. Gavin, I'm sure you can agree with me on that. So with that being said, celebrating women across the entire world today, we thank you all for your service as part of the human race as we all work together as one.
Zach, you talk about the LGPA. If I said that wrong, I apologize. But Zach,
LPGA, yes.
I did. I got it. All right, cool. So, and then Zach, but you know where I've been. Zach, I told you, the NCAAW or the National. Zach, I've been watching every college women's basketball game all this year. Zach, going with the Huskies, watching South Carolina, watching Louisville take a heartbreaking loss yesterday. Zach, I enjoy the game of basketball, but I never thought I would enjoy it that much. And Zach, I'm gonna be honest, I enjoyed the women's side of college basketball than I enjoyed the men's side, because the men's side, Duke's been a disappointment, Kentucky's been a disappointment, and at least on the women's side, you get to watch a lot of good competitive games. So I'm all excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's just great to look back on some of these things. We'll take some time during the week to really focus on it. Right now, again, across all sports, Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe, you take a look at some of these other great athletes that have done their mark, Serena Williams. And then, of course, you'll look right now, first female vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, who was addressing the nation just moments ago. We did not get a chance to watch it yet, but I imagine there will be some speech in there about the advancements for women in our country. For those who haven't watched the movie Hidden Figures, which is about a group of women that helped get the first people in space. There's a lot to talk about in this. I hope that we as a country and a world are past the ignorant stage that women can't be on the same stage as men when it comes to the business world, the science world, and sports world, and everything along those lines. I think that we are past that for the most part. There are some preconceived notions that is a daily continued struggle for many people in whether it be minorities or women or anyone for that matter in these categories of preconceived notions. But we'll continue to make it our goal, Gavin, continue the conversation, really focus on a lot of these things. Because at the end of the day, we all bleed the same color, Gavin. We talk about that a lot. I think that's up there with our Don't Like a Poll comments that we make an awful lot on our show. But to wrap that up as we continue today, yes, everywhere you go, your life's been impacted by the positive work of women. I think it's important on a daily today to thank them and appreciate them and really honestly make a habit of doing it more than just today. We don't need just one day for it, but it is good to have a day to look back, reflect. Again, first female vice president, we're making steps in every direction. Of course, what matters at the end of the day, which I love to look back on, you don't get to someplace because you're a woman. You get there because of your qualifications. And the fact that being a woman in this country does not hold you back is what we want. That's what we want because it means equality and equal opportunity. So I'm glad today to be able to sit here and recite on some of these great things that have happened in our society, thanks to the great power that many women have had across all countries, all color barriers, all everything. So just excited today to be able to talk about that and break it down.
And not just the only day we're going to be talking about this, Zach. We're going to talk about for the every show of the month. We're going to talk about it. And Zach, I'm gonna go on a limb and say this: we are close to seeing our first women's coach in the NBA. I have a feeling. Zach, it slipped my mind. Forgive me, but there's an assistant coach for the Spurs coaching staff.
Spurs, yep, she did fill in. She was their coach for the second half of the game this year.
I believe we're close to seeing our first NBA, our first coach that's going to be a woman in the NBA. So I'm excited to see that.
For sure. With that being said, again, celebrating International Women's Day today, we continue to celebrate that here on the More Than Philly Sports Network, and thank everybody that's made significant impacts on our society. Without you, we don't know what we do, especially how progressive we've come. And yes, we say this all the time. We've come a long way, but we still have ways to go, and we're excited to be a part of that process with everyone. With that being said, though, before we get into our main topic of the day, let's talk about it. This day in history, specifically a year ago. It is 3:08 p.m. for us recording live for those listening at a different time on 3/8. I think it's kind of cool just to match it up. But let's talk about it. What's going on a year ago right now? State Department officially released a statement telling people that they need to keep off of cruise ships because of the growing coronavirus cases. At this day in history, coronavirus cases had just exceeded 105,000 cases worldwide. Also had the first death in Florida. A Iranian official who took part in the 1979 Iranian hostage situation also died of the coronavirus 1 year ago today, as well as the cruise ship in Japan quarantined everyone on board because of the spread of COVID-19, the coronavirus. Gavin, where were you a year ago today?
I feel like I was at the movies, Zach. I feel like I was at the movies or I was at the mall. One of the two places, Zach. I know it were the best. I think I was at the Boys for Life too with my friend Valmir. Shout out to Valmir, because that was one of the last fun things I did in the world stop. But I saw Bad Boys for Life too. Hung out for a little bit. Then the next day went out to a mall with a friend and walked around, and the world stopped right after that. Zach, it's crazy to think that. But where were you?
So last year, this was that Sunday, Sunday, March 8th. And I remember we grilled that night. Weather was getting nice out, just like today, honestly. I was outside playing basketball because my driveway, when it snows, it gets all wet and muddy. And then finally, after some dry weather, it becomes really nice out. So once it is, I get out there every opportunity I get. Ironically, I did have a cold this week last year. I did miss a few days of school. I do not believe it was the coronavirus, never got tested. Of course, at the time, it wasn't readily available. But maybe just a little irony there that I was sick that final week. Of course, we'll talk about it on Wednesday because that would have been the Tuesday that I went to the Flyers game. Or I'm sorry, maybe that Wednesday I went to the Flyers game. Then that Thursday, of course, Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus. So we're talking about a year ago, today or tomorrow, that Rudy Gobert would have been exposed to the virus. It's just cool to continue to connect the dots and look at this. Just 1 year later, we're living history. I'm not going to say I can't wait for the movie 2020, but we're going to be able to relive some things when we do see that movie come out.
Well, Zach, real quick before we get into our topic, and then I don't know if you remember this or not, but the first week back from holiday break, literally that Monday I woke up with a cough. The next day, that Tuesday, I had the chills, and our reading teacher, you was in the class with my reading teacher, was looking at me funny, like, why are you, rubbing your hands? I'm like, man, I'm cold. Anybody else cold? And they're looking at me like it's wrong. And then I was out for a week and a week and a half, and I still didn't recover until a little bit of fatigue was real. Zach, a lot of people think they had the coronavirus back in the day. Zach, I was one of them. Did I ever get the antibody test to figure out what it was? No, because I didn't want to know, because then I'll be worried about it. So I'll say I don't mind, Zach. We'll talk about more later in the week. But
for sure. And finally, on this day last year, Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Los Angeles Clippers, coming off of that win against the Milwaukee Bucks, going into the hiatus on a hot streak. It was the most liked tweet on that day. So, yes, I had to bring it up. I will bring up the most liked tweet from tomorrow and so forth for this entire week. But that's this day in history. With that being said, Gavin, are you ready to get to the main topic of today?
Anything that gets me off Lakers talk, yes, sir.
Well, the main topic today is not about LeBron James' 4 points in the All-Star game, but we'll talk about that at a later time. Keeping himself healthy, just continuing to be a good GM and drafting a good team in the All-Star game. But let's talk about it. Jalen Hurts is QB1. Jeffrey Lurie apparently told his sources, told his organization, to build around Jalen Hurts. Within an hour of this report coming out, reports came out that the Eagles were shopping Brandon Brooks, the third best, I would say, guard in the NFL.
Is that you just argue
the record that Carson Wentz has, the record that a quarterback like Carson Wentz has with this team with Brandon Brooks versus without him is astronomical. He is the most important part of your line besides Jason Kelce. I know he was hurt this year. You just gave him a big contract last year. And this Eagles team went from being one of the best offensive lines in the league to one of the worst, allowing the most sacks. Gav, I know you have a few stats on that you'll read off in a minute. But it's contradicting when on one side you're telling me that Jalen Hurts is QB1 and to build around him and do whatever you can to win and not tank. Then on the other side, you're shopping around your best player, arguably on the team.
Zach, not only did they say that, they also talk about Zach Ertz' possibility being gone. How can you develop somebody without talent around somebody? Zach, if you have talent around somebody, wouldn't that make them want to play better? Wouldn't that make their job a little bit more easier? Zach, you're in a city where they're going to throw you under the bus as soon as you lose. If Jalen Hurts loses three games to start, the city's going to go in a tear. And if Howard Rosen drafts Kyle Pitts at the number 6 pick, we might not make it to the season.
Well, I'm not gonna argue against that pick, but with the other receivers on the board, I get it. But continue.
Listen, Zach, I'm not gonna argue against that. But if you have Devontae and Jamar Chase,
then you take one of them.
And you take one of them, but they're not there. Then you take Kyle Pitts. But anyway, if you get rid of Brandon Brooks, what is that going to do to Jalen Hurts? Is it going to make the offensive line worse, Zach? When the offensive line's healthy, especially that right side with Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, and Jason Kelce being either side, but I'm going to concern the right side more. You're not getting to him. You're not getting to Carson. Well, past tense. You're not getting to Carson Wentz. You're not going to get to Jalen Hurts. They're going to do everything in their power to protect Jalen Hurts. All right. Then you had Solomahu, and then you had the bodyguard Jason Peters, or in my honest opinion, the guy couldn't stop a nosebleed. But Zach, you gave up 65 sacks last year, and this is without Brandon Brooks. You gave up 65 sacks last year. That's 15 more than any other team. And you lost 401 yards, Zach. You're losing almost 150 yards per game, almost around there. Matt's not my strong suit, but Zach, you're losing a lot of yards. So let me get this straight. You're going to get rid of arguably the best right guard in the game, Zach, Brandon Sheriff, Zach Martin, we know. And not trying to count Quentin Nelson because he's left side of the ball. You're going to get rid of him, and you're going to get rid of Zach Ertz. How are you helping? What is this helping? Zach, if I'm going to put you a quarterback, right, and I'm saying, all right, Zach, you're going to be the future of this franchise, but I'm going to get rid of your right guard and your tight end, and you got to work with that. With an older Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson has been hurt the last 2 years. How are you going to react to that? You're going to be pissed. I'll be pissed because you're setting me up to fail. The Eagles are great for setting people up to fail. Look at Carson Wentz, Zach. Never got enough talent around him after 2017. All right? The offensive play calling, Zach, as much as you like to bring it out, I'm going to leave that to you. You're just setting Jalen Hurts up to fail before he can even take a true snap under center as a QB1. Next year's going to be frustrating, Zach, if they get rid of Brandon Brooks. I wouldn't believe this. Go on.
The bread and butter of an organization are the lines. Eagles have both. You have a great D-line, older, given, and you have a pretty good O-line when it's healthy. Where is this Eagles team? You just fired your head coach and you hired some no-name. I'm going to give Nick Sirianni a chance. Seems like a nice guy. Making a playbook that is easy for his guys to understand but hard to be understood by defenses. If that's the case, I'm happy. I hope that's how it should work. But
there'll be no Chip Kelly too fast. I don't like that.
In all seriousness, listen, I like Jalen Hurts. He's got potential, but he's a raw talent. They need to develop him. And if they're all in on him, draft yourself Jamar Chase. And then from there, Sign yourself a Kenny Galladay. There's a chance that he walks and Detroit can't pay him. I read that this morning. Shave off some other guys on the roster, fix some salary cap situations, restructure some deals. They've already done that. And build around him. Play to win. Don't tank. What are you tanking for? Play to win this year. You can make the playoffs in a bad division. Come on. The Eagles, we were talking about Super Bowl after the first half against Washington this year. You know why? Because your quarterback was good at the time, and you had a great O-line and a great D-line. This year you have a young quarterback who's going to make the jump, assuming he's coached correctly, and he's very close with the new quarterback's coach, so I'm happy for that. Get an O-line that can make it work. And you have that. They have the O-line they need. Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, Andre Dillard, or the other kid from the rugby playing days. They both have had a pretty good time at left tackle. You have good depth as well. When the depth gets tested, yeah, you're going to have trouble. But you got guys like Jalen Reagor who can do quick drag routes. Get the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands quickly. Run the ball. There's talent on this team. You got to use it correctly. And if they're going to build around him, actually do it. Don't start getting rid of his best pieces.
It's like when you talk about Jalen Hurts, you're talking about a guy that's confident. You're talking about a guy that has won the national championship with Alabama. You're talking about a guy that did lose his job to Tua Tagovailoa. But guess what, Zach? Tua was better than him. Arguably, they were just as great. I don't understand that move to this day, Zach. And then you go to Oklahoma. You have success there with CeeDee Lamb. You take them to a playoff where you don't win, but you come close to winning.
You played against the best college team of all time.
Exactly. Jalen Hurts is a competitor. He feels like he's the best. Did you see him? He's confident. Zach,
I liked him from the start. He reminds me of Russell Wilson. He wants to throw the ball, but use his legs to buy time. However, unlike with Russell Wilson, don't neglect him. Give him some good talent.
Exactly. Now, excuse me. Now, here's the thing. Jalen Hurts is going to need a wide receiver to do that. Right? Zach, he has CeeDee Lamb in college already, and we know the greats that come out of Alabama that was there.
Can't go wrong with an Alabama receiver.
You sure? None of the SEC wide receivers can go wrong with. But Zach, he needs someone to throw the ball to. That's number one. All right, and you're going to have to believe in the run game. Miles Sanders is one of the most disrespected running backs in the league. I'll say it.
Well, he's underutilized. No one can notice him because he's underutilized.
Exactly. Zach, he goes out versus Pittsburgh, has one nice long touchdown run, and that's it. You don't hear from Miles Sanders. Same thing versus Baltimore. He has a nice long run versus Baltimore, and you don't hear from him no more. That's just play calling. Zach, what made Drew Brees look good this last year? It wasn't him, because Drew Brees was out the majority of the time. It was Alvin Kamara in the backfield and his defense, and he was able to get the ball quickly. If you can get the ball quickly with some simple routes, Zach, drags, slants, all right, little out routes, the check downs. You don't always got to toss the ball deep 20, 30 yards. But this isn't Madden, Zach. All right, this is not what I do to you in Madden.
I actually do play the check downs and drag routes in Madden. I'm a big fan of this.
I know you are, Zach, and I cover them every time. But Zach, here's the thing. You got to give Jalen Hurts a chance. Like, you're right. Why are you tanking? There's no reason to tank. It's like you're in one of the worst divisions in football, all football. We don't know if Dak Prescott is going to be there or not. Russell Wilson's not coming. Daniel Jones still has a lot to prove. And Washington doesn't have a name. You're a quarterback. They don't have two things to make a franchise work. They don't have a name and they don't have a quarterback. If I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles right now, on paper, not the best team. And all right, if you look on paper, Zach, you give it to the Cowboys because of everybody they had. But if you look at the talent, you look at the experience, the success this roster had, defensively, we know what they bring to the table. We know what the D-line brings to the table. We know what the secondary has the potential to do. And the linebackers, I can't even name one of them because that's how bad they are. And then it's like if you got an offense, you got the offensive line. If you can keep the right side the best side, as I like to say, then you got Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. They're going to get you some passes. Zach, what Dallas Goedert can't do is what Zach Ertz can do. And what Zach Ertz can't do,
Ertz will be gone. That's a guarantee.
That's the sad part. Ertz will be gone. So you're losing a guy that can catch the ball. Zach, he led the league in catches at one point, or led in tight ends in catches. Then you got the wide receivers. Jalen.
Technical difficulty on Gavin's side for those watching right now. As I finished some of his statement, who do they have?
But we'll say this.
Yeah.
Am I still good?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
Well, I'll say this. Don't put this man in a place to fail because he is a competitor and he wants to win. Zach, we saw it at Arizona. He tried to win that game. All right.
Came
Versus
back.
us.
They were down 16-0, a safety and a fumble. I mean, everything that went wrong could happen. They came back.
What can go wrong will go wrong. And we saw it. And he fought back. Zach versus the Saints. They were supposed to win that game. We didn't expect it. They came out and won. The Cowboys game started off looking nice and it ended ugly. This guy's a competitor. You got to let him compete. You got to give him a chance. And then you can knock the team down if it doesn't work well.
Yeah, you got to figure it out this year. You got to go all in one more year. See what you have in Jalen Hurts. Otherwise, you could sign a veteran free agent to plug in, like with some other teams, like the Colts, where they traded for a guy they could just plug in and replace. That's the type of team this needs to be. With that being said, I don't know what to say about the Eagles right now. Schedule comes out in a month. We got the draft. The NFL season just ended a month ago, but it is coming up on us pretty quickly. With that being said, as we wrap up today, Gavin, any surprises from the All-Star game yesterday for you?
The fact that Steph Curry, people forget who Steph Curry was. I mean, Zach, we talk about Damian Lillard, and there's no disrespect to Damian Lillard, but Zach, Steph Curry's been doing this, pulling up from 50, from 30, from 40. Zach, you name it, he probably shot there before he made it. No disrespect to Damian Lillard, Zach. I know we got into a little bit last night because you thought I said Damian Lillard wasn't talented. Zach, that's not what I'm saying. But when it comes to range, if I had to give someone a chance for range, I'm going to Steph Curry. Now, if I had to go for someone from game for range, now that's a different story, Zach. Damian Lillard pulled up from half court, made it for game. But Zach, in the debate for the best shooter, we saw him last night, and it's a shame people forgot who the heck he was.
I think the NBA world missed him last year. I really do think that's a clear one. I mean, he battled injury all year. They shut him down at some point, and he was just fun to watch last night. He was electric. Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time. No disrespect to Ray Allen. No disrespect to Reggie Miller. The game's just changed. Steph Curry changed it with that range. Damian Lillard came from like similar to how you say Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. You're not going to put Kobe above Mike. You would compare the two of them to each other. Of course, the difference between Steph and Dame is that Steph has rings and Dame doesn't. But at the same time, guys like Damian Lillard come into this league, Trae Young. It's because of guys like Steph Curry.
Damian Lillard's a killer, Zach. All right, what I mean by that is he'll go out and go win you a game.
Destroyed the entire Oklahoma City Thunder franchise.
Exactly, Zach. Paul George finally admitted.
Shot, right?
Exactly. Just ask Paul George twice. He did to him twice. And ask Houston as well. But Zach, Damian Lillard's a killer. He'll go out and go win you a game. Not saying Steph Curry can't do that too. But we're talking about range, Zach. I remember watching the game where Steph Curry was in Memphis. As the clock is running out before halftime, he pulls it a little bit, almost full court, Zach. Splash. But yet, people say Damian Lillard has better range. I don't get it. It's like the range seems unfair, but when it comes to if you gave them 10 shots, Steph Curry's gonna make 5 out of the 10. Damian Lillard will make 4, or it could be a little bit more. It could be vice versa.
Queen look, Steph Curry's probably a 60+ shooter. Queen look, 70%. He made up like 105 threes in a row in warmups once.
He shoots 100 shots, 100 threes after practice. I don't know what else to say.
It pays off. His shooting form, everything. But look, with that being said, changing the game, we'll continue to break down the All-Star game as of right now.
For 16, what the heck? What in the world?
No, I think, look, All-Star game, of course, we'll continue to recap it. Ben and Joel continue to test negative for COVID. There's a chance they play Thursday. It will be 5 days with all negative tests. We're hoping for the best for them. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching today. We're looking forward to continuing to provide our awesome content to you in our new style. Thanks again, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our first ever weekend show yesterday. Gavin, how did you like it? I do have to ask.
I did like it a lot, Zach. It was something new for me. Zach, when I'm in weekend mode, I don't think about working. All I was doing is relaxing and watching the basketball games and then just getting ready for the week. But Zach, we'll have to do another one pretty soon. I know we got the Whitmans maybe coming up this weekend, so I have to get ready for that one.
Possibly as well. I got to get my golf back in shape. Swing's not looking great right now, but we're working on it. Gavin heard me beforehand, working on some practice. But in all seriousness, everybody, thank you again for watching today. We appreciate your support for us and have a great, great day.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos. Again, thanks for watching.